So this headline was a roller coaster for me. I didn't realize this, but as you can see from Insider Gaming, Mike Straw posted this. Portable PlayStation 6 won't be as powerful as the PS5, it's claimed. This is a roller coaster for me because, for one, I wasn't aware that they were planning on doing a straight up portable PS6. So already I'm like, what? And then they're saying it's going to be weaker than a PS5, which a next gen console that's going to be weaker than the last gen. What? So already I'm just all over the place, but let's read it and see what is being reported here. So Sony is reportedly developing a portable version of the PS6, but it doesn't look like, okay, we might need to proofread these, but doesn't look like it will be a true next gen experience for players. So I think it doesn't look like it. According to Kepler L2 on NeoGAF, take with a big old grain of salt, just gonna say. He's the same leaker that claimed that Sony's working on 2 SoCs for the PlayStation 6, which is like systems on chip or whatever. So it's 2 different SKUs, think of it that way. The portable version of the new console won't be as powerful as the current gen PS5. In a reply to a question about the handheld system, Kepler claims that it's a, quote, 15 watt SoC on 3 nanometer, which is like the new trend craziness, especially for handheld stuff. Seems like it's going to offer a ton of power savings and all sorts of craziness. While it's possible the final version of the device won't just be 15 watts, knowing that the SoC sits at that TDP gives an idea as to what to expect. For comparison purposes, the Steam Deck TDP is 15 watts, but can be lowered to improve battery life. The PS5 has 200 watts TDP. Sony has yet to confirm the existence of a PlayStation 6 portable. Until Insider Gaming can independently verify the information or it becomes official, please take claims with a grain of salt. And that's literally all we have with it, okay? So this is the extent of it. But if you go with here, you can see back in September, Tom Henderson, the man, the myth, the legend, he also reported on this same rumor, which is that they're working on 2 different SKUs, one that would be a handheld and one that would be a more traditional console. Now let's, taking it with a grain of salt, let's explore this mentally. How many of you guys in the various chats would be interested in a portable handheld device that is significantly underpowered compared to its partnered console? Because here's the thing, people give the Xbox Series X crap because it's the weakest link in this chain that is console gaming. And that was roughly, like, it was a little bit more powerful than the One X was, right? So it's held back, like by definition, it's held back the generation because it's weaker than those, because it's requiring all the games that are made for Xbox are also made for that. And if it's cross-platform, even the games made for the PlayStation 5 Pro have to also work on the Series S. Right, if it's fully cross-platform. So it's held that back. Imagine if Sony releases this PlayStation 6 handheld, portable, whatever. They release this and they require that all PlayStation games, PlayStation 6 games, have to also run on that handheld. We're talking about a bigger gap than even the Series S to the Series X, because or Series S to the next one, right? Like what we're talking about would be similar to them launching a PS5 and then a PS5 portable that is weaker than the PS4. That's basically what's being described. Now, TDP is not everything. There's all sorts of things with efficiency, with upscalers and things. It's not just about raw wattage, okay? And I think that's important to specify. We're not saying that like, oh, if the PS5 were a 4070 or 4060, then this is going to be weaker than that. It's going to be like a 3050. We're not saying that. We're talking about wattages. That's basically all that's going on here. But there is a rough rule of thumb that the more power your chip can consume and suck up, then the harder it can push out and the more it can do. But I really think, like Falcon says in Twitch chat, they're going to rely a lot on upscalers and stuff, similar to the Switch 2, which absolutely is requiring or relying a lot on those different techniques to allow it to render at a much lower resolution, which preserves power and is able to crank up efficiency. But just in concept, let's even say it's roughly in line power-wise with the PS5. I still I don't know, man. I don't love this trend of having a really underpowered console that holds back multi-platform releases. I just don't like it. I just don't. Okay. I understand that having a portable device or a cheaper device like a Series S is good for a sliver of the market that either couldn't afford the full Series X or that wants to play the games on the go. But I feel like when you do that on the console side, it is creating the lowest common denominator that literally by definition will hold everything back, because you have to develop for the weakest device. You just do. That's how it works. And so I feel like I just don't like it. I just don't like it. At least if you have like a Steam Deck, it's an option, but it's not required. If you release on PC and your game isn't Steam Deck verified, people go, oh, that's a bummer, but okay. It's not a big deal. But if you're talking about a PlayStation 6 portable and they require you to also support it fully day one, and it has to meet certain performance standards and metrics, that will hold back the game, because they don't have the option of just not being PlayStation Portable verified. They don't have the option of, like on Steam, oh, we're just not Steam Deck verified. They don't have that option. They have to get it approved there. Now, the other option for PlayStation is they don't actually connect the two. Think of what they did with like the PSP, right? Or like the Vita, where you have your own games basically, but you have like Uncharted on PlayStation 3, but then you also have the PS Portal version, or the PSP version, or the Vita, whatever. I don't see that as very likely, because you also are then splintering off your dev teams, and you're splintering off different resources, which I don't think they like. I think they like the idea of you having one team that works on God of War Egypt or whatever, and then they get to port that to the handheld, they port that to the PlayStation 6, they do backwards compatibility, whatever they do. So I just don't like it. I don't like this trend. And it seems like it's something Xbox is exploring as well. It may just be the new thing. I think really at the end of the day, the next 10 years of gaming is all going to be about scalability. I think that seems to be the case. They're not looking to have like really powerful consoles that set the bar and then everybody has to just push that bar. They're going to have a wide spread where they have the Series X, they have the Series S, they have the handheld device, they have the PlayStation 6, the PlayStation 6 Portable, they have the PlayStation 5 Pro, the PlayStation 5, and the goal is to just have games that can scale all the way across that like spectrum. And it's similar to how it works on PC. I mean, on PC, there are some games that, they have super high ceilings where if you have the power to push it, it can look shocking, like Cyberpunk. But if you need to run it on weaker hardware, you can do that too. And it may not look anywhere near as good, but you can technically run it. And I think that's the goal with the console games now, is they just want to build in a ton of scalability. But ultimately, it doesn't change the fact that when you have the weakest common denominator, that is where the floor is. You can't raise the floor at all. You can't push it, because you have to still be able to run on that weakest hardware. This generation, it's been the Series S. It just has been. Next generation, honestly, the next few years, it might be the Switch 2. I don't know. We'll see if the Switch 2 can compete relatively with the Series S in terms of like memory transfer speeds and different things like that, which have held back the Series S. But time will tell. But I think in the next few years, you'll see the Switch 2 be a big priority for multi-platform releases, I'm guessing. We really don't need so many handhelds. I mean, handhelds are they're becoming more and more popular. And I think it's a lot to do with the Switch being so successful. And then it's also a lot to do with like the Steam Deck and ROG Ally. Xbox is about to do their own. PlayStation kind of already did their own with the PS Portal, but they're going to do, it seems, an actual gaming device that plays the game natively. And I mean, people are buying them. People are interested. I own multiple handhelds. I have a Switch. I have a Switch OLED, and I've got my ROG Ally. Nikki has her Steam Deck. Like, we use these. It's nice. It's a good option. And I think it's weird that for basically 10 years, there was just no handheld devices. Everybody just kind of gave up on it. And then the Switch came out, was super popular, and people were like, oh, we can do this again. And they hop back on, but I don't know. It's, again, take it with a massive grain of salt, because this is literally, it's one guy, Kepler L2 on NeoGAF, and NeoGAF already as a source, you should be like, Yeah, you can see the full threads. Can match the power of PS5 in all parameters by 2028. Let's see. The thing is going to get torn to shreds for 50 watt TDP. Even with the Ally X's huge battery, that's only like 1 hour of battery life before you risk under 20%. With a more typical battery, like in the Steam Deck, try 30 minutes. With the Switch's battery, you're lucky to have 20 minutes of runtime. Yeah, that's the thing. Once you start cranking the wattages, like batteries are just, It's the thing that's held back electronics more than anything is battery technology. Like everything else, the power needed has skyrocketed with what we can do in terms of actual like chip design, but power delivery has always been the problem. And that's something where like batteries have just not really advanced to the same level. And so batteries have held back a lot of this tech. That's why you see like amazing advances with your phone, the displays, the processors, everything else. It's amazing what they can do. But the batteries really have not seen that big of a leap. You know, the source is not sourcing. The source is himself. Like the source is a leaker who says he's familiar with the like plans for the PlayStation 6. Again, you take all this with a massive grain of salt, but it jives with what we've heard from other rumors, from other sources suggesting that PlayStation's exploring another option. Like they're exploring handhelds basically. So we'll see. Power banks. I mean, that's basically what it requires. You get to the point where you just need a power bank with you when you do things. Like I told you guys, I played KCD2 on my RG Ally while I was on the plane flying back from the Bahamas when we went on vacation in early January. And for that, like we were on the plane for whatever it is, like 6-7 hours total. And so I just had to have my battery bank just plugged into the RG Ally, and it was just like a cable going off of it down into the pocket of the seat, and I just played like that, and it worked great. It was fine. But you just kind of have to mentally build in that you're going to need a power bank. But it was also like that back in the day with the OG Switch. I remember buying a power bank specifically for the Switch for longer gaming sessions. So it's just part of the equation, I guess. It's why I've also never been that like annoyed by the bad battery life on the RG Ally, because I always am just planning on bringing a battery bank with me. But I don't know. Is the Steam Deck OLED that much better than the normal deck? I mean, it does look really, really good. I don't know. For the average person, I don't think it's probably worth the price hike, but that's just me. I love OLED screens too, right? So for me, I would probably justify it in my head, but for the average person, probably not. Dream Corridor, thank you for the 5. Sony has never had the best luck directly exploring Nintendo's tactics. So I don't know if trying to fragment their console experience will work out. Yeah, I don't know either, but I can definitely see how an executive could think that's a really good idea. Because, I mean, can't you imagine like the Jim Ryans sitting around the conference table looking at the data for the Switch 2? They sold how many tens of millions of units? Dude, we got to do it. We got to do it. Hyperion Luke, do you think handhelds might be a way from these tech companies to sell lower cost options? Consider console prices will continue to skyrocket. I mean, that assumes that the price of the handhelds will be low. I'm not so sure about that. Like, I think everything will rise. All of the prices will rise. I mean, I do think if the question is also like, do I think that the series, like whatever they call it, the PlayStation 6, I think that probably starts at like 1,000 or like 900 to 1,000. I think they're going to crank it, dude. I think the Switch 2 has kind of set the precedent to crank the price a little bit higher, and they're already raising the price of the PlayStation 5 in international markets as well. I think they're just going to slowly step it up. PlayStation 5 Pro is 700. Next gen console, maybe they started at 700 for like the cheapest version, the digital version, and then the higher end version is like $800-900. I think they're just going to try to keep creeping it up, and they'll probably use the tariffs also as like a built-in excuse for it. Because like the tariffs won't always be there. Even if like they last for 4 years, after 4 years, like they probably go away with the next administration, even if they were to stay that way, or they get adjusted or whatever. But you better believe they're going to keep the prices high. Like I think if you see companies cranking the price of these consoles up, they're not going to magically be like, oh, we've lowered the prices now that they've gone away. I think they're seeing it as a golden opportunity to just keep it locked in. You know, they've learned anything from the PSP and Vita? I mean, I don't know if they're looking to that for inspiration. I think they're mainly looking to the Switch to try and learn from that. I think they made some mistakes with the Vita and PSP and stuff, mostly around the games and how they worked. But I think those problems can be avoided nowadays just with the tech that they have. So I think instead of having dedicated games just for the handheld device, they're going to try to have PlayStation 6 games or PS5 games playable on that device as well, and just require that they basically are in parity. Dream Corridor, thank you again. Very generous. My goodness.
Dream Corridor donated $10 through Super Chat. We're never going to see previous console worldwide sales numbers like the PS2 or even PS4 if price drops don't happen. Unless GTA V is a system seller beyond all imagination.
Yeah, I think people are being more tactical with their purchasing. GTA 6 will do gangbuster numbers, of course. I think that will help. But yeah, it's just the world changes, you know. Prices rise and people have to be a little bit more careful. And, you know, back when the PS4 was cheap, I mean, I remember the PS4 Slim refresh model being $300 across the board and stuff like that. I think people would have one console in their living room, one console in their bedroom, one console in their gaming room. I knew people that had multiple PS4s all throughout their house, and they would just bounce around depending on where they were playing. Nowadays, I don't think that's anywhere near as common, you know? I think people will buy the one console and just call it a day. But, you know, time will tell. Time will tell. I don't think... I'm much less cynical when it comes to the industry. A lot of people are like, oh, Nintendo priced this at Nintendo priced these games at 80. The gaming crash is coming. Get ready. Everything's about to go belly up. I'm not convinced that that's the case. I mean, I like I said, I think the gaming crash already like started 2 years ago, but it's specifically a AAA gaming crash for AAA games from third party devs. I think that's already started to happen. Like you've already seen Warner Brothers, EA, Take-Two, like they've canned tons of their big AAA projects, and it's because of games like Forspoken. Square Enix is probably the biggest guy that's like suffering, but you've seen them cancel a ton of those games, and it's because of games like Saints Row, Forspoken. Like there's just tons of these third-party AAA games that just hemorrhaged money. He took my thing.